Hello, welcome to my violin studio. My name is Amy Appold, and I'm really looking forward to performing Beethoven Sonata number 10, Opus 96, with Natalia Bolshakova on the upcoming Odyssey chamber music concert on October 3rd. And I'm just here to share a few words with you and thoughts about this truly amazing piece of music. This will open the program. But it would be fitting at any place in an evening of music. It is the substantial and really very important work for violin and piano. I've had the privilege of playing all 10 of Beethoven violin sonatas over the years, and this is one that I have performed and learned as a student in college, but have not come back to it since then. And now I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to bring maybe a little more wisdom, a little bit more maturity to it than I had when I was in my early 20s. Let me just tell you a little bit about it. This piece is the very last sonata that Beethoven wrote for violin and piano. It is part of what's called his late period, which is music that was written when he was nearly deaf and then fully deaf. This particular piece, according to my research, it looks like he had still a little bit of hearing. He went deaf fully within 2 years of having written this piece. And I don't know exactly how that impacts his music fully, but I mean, no one really can understand it. It's kind of almost like a beautiful and wonderful mystery that we continually try to unfold and discover and understand. But my personal feeling about it is that as he became more and more removed from society and the ability to communicate and have relationship with people in verbal ways, he also then became kind of free from maybe the expectations or the bounds of what was expected that you would do with a piece of music. And so he already, of course, had experimented much in his writing prior to this, but sort of really went out there, So this piece is very, people would describe it, I think, as pastoral and heavenly, kind of ethereal. It certainly has like more hefty tunes and things in it, but it seems to keep coming back to this kind of elevated and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's really hard to describe. My teacher that I had in college, he had this very funny way of talking, and I'm told I do a good impression. And he would always say, "It's very high." So it's very high, and I think what he meant was elevated and kind of mystical almost. And part of what makes that happen is that the piece seems to be going along as you expect, and then suddenly you're in a place that you don't expect. You're in a key that's not right, or you're playing a tune that wasn't there before, or suddenly you've plunged the tempo into something incredibly slow. And so all of those things make it really kind of challenging to interpret. And so I've been spending the last number of months, just working on it very slowly to try to let it become, steep inside me and become natural to the degree that I'm able to do that. So I'll just give you a few little excerpts to give you an idea. So it's a very evenly written piece between the violin and the piano. So there's lots and lots of passing things back and forth. It's a true duet. And that's evident right from the very beginning. The opening theme hardly gets started before it's getting passed back and forth. And since I don't have piano here today, you'll just hear a little bit of me singing the piano part. already you can hear that it's going someplace unexpected right there where I stopped playing. So the slow movement is just one of those glorious slow movements that that you get in violin sonatas, and particularly with Beethoven and Brahms and certainly many other composers. But there's a very hymn-like tune that is stated in the piano at the beginning of the piece, and then it takes until about halfway through before the violin is allowed to put its own spin on it. Classically Beethoven, there's hardly anything but a scale there, and yet it just can make you weep. Third movement is a scherzo, different than minuet and trio, you know, a little more feisty. And I'm not going to play anything from that because it's just, everything is such little snippets that I think it's best just heard together with the piano. The last movement is in my very most favorite form of all. I don't know. Sonata form is a close second maybe, but theme and variations. I adore theme and variations. This one has a very sort of rustic, peasanty, folky kind of tune. And then, of course, he takes it through millions of machinations of different variations and ways of setting that tune, including a completely different tempo of Adagio Espressivo that is almost unrecognizable as the theme, but in fact, it is a variation on the theme that I just played. So I think that's about all I'll tease you with, and I'm just really looking forward to, I hope, seeing you at the Odyssey Chamber Music Concert on October 3rd.
Hi, my name is Tara Curtis. I'm the mezzo-soprano singing Mahler's Kindertotenlieder in the upcoming concert with the Odyssey Chamber Series. This set is set to 5 poems by Friedrich Rückert, part of a larger set of poetry that he wrote. It is literally translated as songs on the death of children, and while it is a very difficult subject matter, certainly at any time, the wonderful thing about experiencing this as an audience member, and for me as an artist to get to perform this, it really takes you through the stages of grief, and there is a wonderful resolution at the end and an acceptance and a freedom in that. The set was originally written to be orchestrated, and Mahler certainly did orchestrate it, and there are some really beautiful recordings of Janet Baker, my personal favorite, singing this set with orchestra. But what you will get to experience if you come on Friday the 3rd is the intimacy that you get with a performance of just solo piano and the voice. The voices of the orchestra are really beautifully rendered for the piano, and it feels more personal. It feels more intimate. So I really hope to see you there.
Hello, my name is Peter Miyamoto, and I'm going to be one of the performers on the Odyssey Season 22 opening concert, which will take place on Friday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. at the First Baptist Church here in Columbia, Missouri. The concert is titled Firebird, which is named after the ballet by Igor Stravinsky, and I'm going to say a few words about that piece. In 1909, Igor Stravinsky was an unknown composer living in St. Petersburg, Russia. As luck would have it, he had two pieces played on a concert, and the famous impresario Sergei Diaghilev happened to catch that concert. He was very impressed with Stravinsky's very colorful music. Sergei Diaghilev was just preparing to launch a new ballet company called the Ballet Russe. And he had plans for the opening season to culminate in a new production of a ballet based on the Russian folktale called the Firebird. He had asked several composers to write the music, and for various reasons they were unable to. So he took a chance on the young, unknown Igor Stravinsky, and in a way, the rest is history. The following year in Paris, the premiere was a great success, launching both the ballet company and Igor Stravinsky's international career. And the two men went on to collaborate further with two other big works, Stravinsky's Petrushka and The Rite of Spring. The ballet follows our protagonist, Prince Ivan, who is in the garden of the evil ogre-like monster Kashai. The ballet begins with some really ominous music. Stravinsky would later write that he uses leitmotif harmonies or collections of tones to show the supernatural beings in the story. Ivan meets the mythical creature, the Firebird. You can hear her shimmering feathers in her entrance. He captures her, but decides to let her go. And in return, the Firebird gives him a feather and promises to help him in the future. Ivan then meets 13 princesses and falls in love with one of them. Interestingly, whenever Stravinsky depicted the humans in this story, he used more Russian folk songs. So here is one of them. And here's another. Next, he comes across Kachai himself, and Kachai has the ability to petrify humans. So, when he's about to catch Prince Ivan, the Firebird intervenes and makes both Kachai and his henchmen dance the infernal dance. Lots of syncopations there. Very exciting, and it wears out Kachai and his whole army. They all fall asleep, and it's followed by a berceuse or a lullaby. Eventually, Kachai wakes up, and the Firebird tells Ivan how to actually destroy Kachai by finding the egg that has his soul in it and destroying it. In the meantime, there is this beautiful song, again based on a Russian folk song, called the Song of Deliverance. song, first lento maestoso, or slow and majestic, eventually builds into a much faster paced version of it, as in the end, Prince Ivan defeats Kachai, and all of the monsters are returned to humanity, and the princesses are free, and Ivan is able to marry his princess. The Firebird Ballet lasts about 50 minutes, but eventually Stravinsky truncated this and made orchestral suites, essentially. He did one in 1911 and revised it again in 1919, and eventually did another one in 1945. The 1919 is probably the most famous and the most performed. I'll mention that this was a great moneymaker for Stravinsky, because he would often conduct these versions with orchestra, and that was his way of making more money in addition to his composition. I think even the republishing again helped him renew the coffers, get more money with the same material. So he was a smart businessman, no doubt. On the Odyssey concerts, my wife, Ayako Tsuruda, and myself will be performing a 2-piano version of the 1919 suite that Stravinsky made. Again, it's such wonderful music, full of color and brilliance, and of course well known through the Disney version from Fantasia 2000, but actually the story itself is quite something different than the one that they used. Anyway, I hope you will enjoy this performance and all the other performances on the concert.